All right. Good morning. Everybody get some sleep, I hope. All right, let's just start with the joints. Start with the wrists. See if you can just articulate the wrists at the same time while breathing. No other joint moves, no elbow, no shoulder. Go 10 one direction, 10 the opposite direction. You can do both. I've just got coffee in one hand. Once you've got your wrists, move to your elbows. See if you can lock those shoulders in place and just move those elbows in a circular fashion. Just learning to articulate the joints, 10 in one direction, 10 in the other direction. Then once we get the elbows, move through to the shoulders. Just keeping our mouths shut because there's no need to be metabolically opening that mouth. There's no high, Chuck and I had a discussion this morning. I don't know how many of you guys are in the fight community, but there are many times and reasons to have the mouth open when training and doing things. When there is high CNS demand, meaning your central nervous system, very complex movements, and when there is very high metabolic output, meaning I'm working my ass off. If you're working your ass off doing this, we got a problem. All right, ankles. Start with the right foot, circles, as soon as you're there. Big circles. Notice where you start to rush through the movement. You can try and stay at the same pace, but you're gonna catch little areas where you're gonna like go a little faster. That's called compensation. This is something we do with shit when we don't know where we're going or we know how to do it. So like, if you ever have been to Los Angeles, California, you'll notice that everybody's in a rush. They're in a rush to go somewhere that they don't know where they're going. Every last one of them. Same thing with you and your joints and movement patterns. You will see athletes rush a movement because they don't understand the movement. You will see yourself, if you're paying attention, once you've got the ankles, then you can move to the knees. 10 one direction, 10 the other direction. Athletes at the highest levels do this as well. We all do it. I'm complicit in this as well. It's just interesting to observe and see where you can make some corrections to slow it down a little, especially with the stuff we're going to be doing today. Once you've got the knees, move to the hip. Knee comes up, bring my knee out to the side, turn it, bring it back around. Might catch yourself trying to open your mouth because there is going to be some more central nervous system demand due to now balancing and moving as I'm doing that. Once you've got 10 in one direction, go the opposite direction. Big circles with that hip. All things in the universe comply to the principle of core to extremity. Unorganized, I compensate to the extremity. When I am tight and bound up in my hips, I will inevitably compensate through my limbs. So let's say I have really tight shoulders, which most of us have. When I go overhead, in order for me to straighten that elbow, I have to change my spine, the organization of it, or if I keep my spine organized, I will not be able to I will not be able to extend my elbow fully. So there's a compensation that's happening, right? All things abide to that. All right, down into downward dog position. Wider feet. This is where we exhale to. We will inhale into a runner's lunge or an upward dog position if we don't have that flexibility, which is perfectly fine. So we inhale and then step back, come exhale. by pressing back into those hamstrings. And then inhale, runner's lunge the next side, or just back into that upward dog position, like that. And then exhale, back in. That is 2. Go 10. Beautiful. Hands behind the head, feet outside, shoulder distance, slightly turned out. Inhale, down. Exhale, up. 20 of these. Follow your breathing pattern. Inhale, down, exhale, up, 2. Inhale, down, exhale, up, 3. If you find it hard to squat, to get to this position, step out into a lunge, come back. 1, 2, okay? Next round. Once you've got that, back to the downward dog, step forward, okay? So repeat both these exercises again, same. So 10 for the first, 10 for the down dog, into the up dog or runner's lunge. So back here. Ten of those, then we'll go back to the prisoner squats, or you can do the lunge if your squat sucks because your hip mobility is not there, which is perfectly fine. We just modify. If you cannot get that foot up to your hand for the runner's lunge, just go into the downward dog sequence. You have tight hip flexors. You need work with your mobility. And we don't have enough time to address that here. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Your breathing dictates how fast you get to move right now. It's that simple. If you want to go faster, by all means do it. Just see if you can do it while you're breathing through that nose. We got a complex we're going to do this morning, and then we're going to do it with some hypoxic walking. We call this dryland swimming. So if any of you have ever participated in selection that involves water, maybe you haven't, maybe you've heard of it, but the fastest way to kind of get people to make some irrational decisions in water is to force them to stay underwater, right? Well, this is just something that we call dryland swimming, because we're going to be holding our breath after we've done some work. The complex that Zee's going to go through is similar to what we did yesterday with the push-up. We're going to inhale. We're following our breathing on the push-ups here, okay? They will be nose only, okay? But we're going to do something different today for this. So Zee's going to come down. He's going to do a push-up. He inhales on the down, exhales on the up. Then, as he comes up, he's going to do what we are calling a sit out. So he is going to inhale, and then exhale, then inhale, and then exhale. That is 1 rep. He will do 5. He's going to be counting these off for you, okay? There's 2, right? So when he finishes, here's the sequence. We're going to do this right now for 5. When he gets up, he gets 3 mouth breaths, as deep as he wants. He'll exhale all his air, and then he's going to walk. Then you're going to walk down and back as far as you can on that exhale, or as many laps as you can get on that exhale after 3 breaths. Does that make sense?
We'll remind them.
We'll remind you once you get once you get to 5. But for right now, we're just going through 5. Zee will count them off. Okay? If push-ups are hard for you, that is perfectly fine. leverage works incredibly and will allow for most people to do a push-up if you just come to the knee. I'm not concerned about perfect push-ups right now, but I am more concerned with range of motion coming all the way down, all the way up. So if it's difficult, just go to the knees and do the push-up. Then as you come to the sit-through, you should be fine, all right?
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
If we have the tight hip flexors on that sit-through, if you can't get that out, how can you get it?
So for the sit-through, if my knees are here, all I'm doing is sit. That's it. It shouldn't be. This should not be a problem. Oh, okay. Like this is, and y'all are going to need to be very familiar with this today. Okay. Like you're going to be on you're going to be on the ground today, getting up. There's reasoning why we're doing this today and what we're going to be doing. It's all going to play into what we're doing on the range today.
Hey, so I'm going to give you the secrets. I'll give it to you by the numbers, right? Just so. The reason we want to call it out by numbers is not because you're dumb or anything. It's because I want you to be able to focus on your breathing and the movement, right? And focus on what Brian's teaching you. So, we'll give it to you by the numbers, and I'm going to count it real quick and show you again. And then Brian will remind you of the breaths. So just watch me.
Inhale. 1, exhale.
2, 3.
Inhale.
4.
Exhale.
5.
Inhale.
6.
Exhale.
And that'll be 1. And I'll keep up with all that. I don't have to say 1 or anything. Right?
It's okay that it's going to feel confusing as shit. Okay? It's okay. We're going to be trying to keep you in sequence. But what this is going to teach you, what we're really trying to teach you here, is how breathing works with movement, so that you're not getting ahead of yourself, especially with what we're doing today. All right? So that we're in more control. If you don't have control of your breathing, I can bet you there are other things that are out of control. Okay? So we're just following the sequence, all right? All right, everybody down position just for here. We're going to go through the sequence for 5, and then we'll let you rest.
All right, so get in the push-up position. I say 1, be an inhale, down. 2, be an exhale up, and then so on and so forth. Inhale, exhale. All right, so get ready, push-up position, ready? 1, 2. Now sitting out, 3. Sit out on your butt.
Sit to your butt,
all
1
to
foot.
Your butt.
One arm on the ground.
4, come back to the push-up position. Butt up in the air. 5, inhale. 6, exhale, back to the push-up position. All right, now focus here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exhale.
5.
Inhale.
6.
Exhale.
That's 2. 1.
Inhale.
2.
Exhale.
3.
Inhale.
4.
Exhale.
5.
Inhale.
6.
Exhale.
1.
Inhale.
2.
Exhale.
3.
Inhale.
4.
Exhale.
5.
Inhale.
6.
Exhale.
Is that 4? All right, last one. 1.
Inhale.
2.
Exhale.
3.
Inhale.
4.
Exhale.
5.
Inhale.
6.
Exhale. Stand.
Relax. Stand up.
So, if ever in a situation where you're out of breath, like a few of you might be right now, we have what's called a 5-7-9, which is one of the fastest ways to kind of downshift you after you've worked real hard. So meaning there's been a lot of metabolic demand. Metabolic just means energy. We're creating more energy. So like I'm working out harder, right? So here's what the sequence looks like. 5 mouth breaths, intentional. 7, nose, mouth out. 9, nose in, nose out. 10, Should feel a change. Feel a change through that? Like everything kind of came down? That's called gearing down. So we've developed a gearing system that goes through 5 gears. The 5 gears are equal nose in, nose out is gear 1. This is what we know as aerobic. Strictly, I'm as aerobic as I can be, meaning there is no real anaerobic activity. I am highly parasympathetic dominant. I am in very much control. I can do anything from this gear. Gear 2 demands a little bit more energy and is a fast nose in and just more of a relaxed nose out. Gear 3 is fast or power nose in, power nose out. Okay? Gear 4 is nose in, mouth out. Gear 5 is mouth in, mouth out. We simply just went from a gear 5, 4, and then dropped it into basically a gear 1. All right? You want to get back down to gear 1 as soon as you can. But once you're in that gear 3 to 1 range, you know you are in more control of what's going on from an energy standpoint and a control standpoint. I will always have more control over what I've got going on psychologically and physiologically if I am in a gear 3 or below. Does that make sense? So for today's little workout that we're going to do here, the evolution, you can breathe, you can change your breathing pattern up to mouth breathing when you're doing the sequence of the push-up to sit-throughs, okay? When the demand gets there. If the demand starts as, that's not how it works. When you feel the changes happen, go ahead and gear up to it. But follow the sequence of inhale. We'll be walking through how you do this for each group, but then you will get 3 strict breaths as soon as you're through 5 of these push-up sit-throughs. You will get 3 breaths. I will exhale all my air, I will hold my breath, and I'm going to walk as many lengths of this cord as I can. I think last time we were here, I think we had somebody who did like 4 or 5 laps or something. I had a guy at we do this with kettlebell, with a farmer walk. I had a guy about this length who did like 7 laps after something like this on an exhale hold, which just means he's got a really high CO2 tolerance. He's highly efficient with his energy. He practiced this shit, so you know you're not looking to get to the point to where you're going to pass out. I want you to go to a very strong urge to breathe. Don't worry, you're not going to pass out if you pay attention to the strong urge to breathe. If you bypass the strong urge to breathe, you may get this thing that feels like a little bit of a lull, or all of a sudden like everything got easier. Okay? That is a signal that your oxygen's starting to lower. Okay? You don't want to go much further past that. Trust me. What happens when your oxygen lowers in the body and the brain?
Death.
Your body prepares you for death. So you get woozy and you pass out. And you go donk, and I've watched it happen. Because I've worked with enough guys that are, you know, like trying to break records, and they will go lights out. If you just listen to your strong urge to breathe, you will be perfectly fine. Does it make sense? All right, so let's get in a bunch of lines right up at the edge, up here by the cones.
Hey, while you're doing that, some of you guys are having trouble to sit out. Look, put my butt in the air and sitting down, facing a different direction. Not this. Yeah, all right, look, just sit down on your butt. Sit on my butt after I do the push-up, all right? Now I'll count it for you.
Remember, you can move to mouth breathing on this. I don't care. It's perfectly fine if you need to. If you don't.
Gotta do the secret with the breathing. Mouth breathing, go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sit down on your butt. 4, 5, 6, 1.
Inhale.
2.
Exhale.
3.
Inhale.
On your butt. 4.
Exhale.
5.
Inhale.
On your butt. Back up. 6.
Exhale.
That's 2. 1.
Inhale.
2.
Exhale.
3.
Inhale.
4.
Exhale.
5.
Inhale.
6.
Exhale.
3. 1.
Nice.
2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Last one. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6.
3 breaths, pop on up. Big mouth breaths. 3 of them. As soon as you got that third, dump it and just walk. Dump the air and walk. Not on an inhale.
Then just walk to this line and back many times they can. All right, next guy.
Next group,
Ready?
come on out.
Push up position.
Just keep walking.
1.
Whenever you need to breathe, just keep walking. And then walk all the way back, get back in line.
4. 5. 6. I'm up to one hand when you sit out. 1. 2.
You guys can walk right back
3.
down the way you came, don't worry. They're not gonna finish.
5. 6.
Nobody made it.
1.
Nobody made it
2.
even one time.
I made one.
3.
Oh, not the whole, not both.
4. 5. 6. 3. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Stay with the count. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6.
Yeah.
1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6.
5. All the way up. 3 mouth breaths. On the third, dump all your air and just walk as far as you can and just keep walking when you need to breathe. Just breathe. And just turn right back around and come back down. Next group, come on up.
Hold it as long as you can.
Reason we don't do this on the inhale is blood pressure can change quite significantly and people can tend, and you have a little bit more oxygen in the system.
1.
There is a good propensity to pass out that way.
Sitting out on your butt. 4.
Here's the interesting thing about what we're doing with hypoxic work and breath control, is you're controlling what we've deemed the stress molecule, which is carbon dioxide. The reason we call it the stress molecule is because from a psychological perspective and a metabolic perspective, your body is constantly trying to predict these levels of CO2 in the system because your body is sensitive to pH. There's a very good reason the human body has very little in it to detect oxygen. Yet oxygen is the very thing that we think of as life, like this is what's allowing us to breathe. But this stress molecule, carbon dioxide, sets off a number of bells in the system. And the bells are predicated off of our predictions. The main receptor sites that are set up in the human body are in the aortic and the carotid arteries. They're called chemoreceptors, okay? Those are set up within the confines of the brainstem, which are constantly signaling something. But the reason I'm saying they're in the aortic and the carotid arteries is the arteries mean blood is going out to important areas, okay? It hasn't gotten anywhere yet, meaning it is predicting what is going to happen. Does that make sense? You don't have a choice in the fact of being human that you are a constant prediction machine. You're predicting things that are going to happen, right, in your life all day long. CO2 plays a very critical role in this, as woo-woo as that might sound. This is actually scientifically like real. Every human being has what's called the suffocation false alarm system. It is this predictive system, and it's why there's so much variance, and why when you're walking holding your breath, some person doesn't need to breathe and another person does. Throughout the day, this predictive system is working based on how much energy you've used, whether that's psychologically. The brain in most of us is using up 20% of the energy we need every day. It is the most costly organ we have. Now, for high caliber chess players who play in tournaments all day long, they can burn up to 6,000 calories just by sitting there using up brain activity. Our understanding of calories is skewed, and energy is very skewed, all right? So just consider that you are a stress prediction machine. And the stress we have a high ability to build our adaptability to the stress molecule. That's why a free diver can hold their breath for as long as they can. The longest breath, does anybody know what the longest breath hold in the world is? Static?
20 minutes.
Huh?
20 minutes?
Just over 20 minutes. About 22 minutes. That means a human being has taken himself to be able to tolerate all that CO2 building with burning while remaining calm so that he's not using up all that oxygen. The calmer you can be in a situation, the less energy you're expending.
You need a gun when your physical ability is not enough to maintain life and liberty. You dig?
Core principle of the S12 experience is to expose the student to concepts, ideas, and training that helps illuminate in them areas that they can grow. We do firearms instruction. We teach people how to protect themselves and become more prepared at taking care of themselves, their family, and their community in violence and calamity. But what I did was I went out and found the best. D-Dey Response Group, Green Beret Medics. They teach the TCCC at this event, so every attendee leaves having a nationally recognized TCCC live fire certificate. We've got Dan Hudnett, paramedic in a very busy department and many years in the United States Army as a medic. Got my friend Zee Von Durham, another Green Beret, Army Ranger, combatives guy, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just a stand-up stud. Got Paul Sharp, renowned expert on self-protection, self-defense, another BJJ black belt. SWAT cop, Ben Simonson from Boresight Solutions, built for the fight. We've got Daryl, Navy EOD, and then we bring in some different people. At this event, we got Brian Mackenzie, one of the foremost authorities on breath and how it affects us in our daily life and in stress. On the range, we're working, developing awesome fundamentals with the pistol. And then we get into some medical stuff. We start talking about how the human body works, human physiology, why we have to stop blood loss and how we do it.
None of you want to be the one that bleeds to death because you didn't have a $25 tourniquet in the knowledge to know how to use it.
Day two, we take that same concept and we're adding in movement. Instead of talking about why we need tourniquets, we start using tourniquets, etc. Day three, the same thing. We keep adding and adding and adding, so that by the time we get to day four, the students are shooting and moving, dragging 200-pound dummies, applying medical aid to them while scanning for threats and dealing with those threats. You know, the whole concept of CarryTrainer is this, summed up in one sentence: be your own cavalry. You are the person there to save your family, to save yourself, to do the right thing at the right time, every time, to get it done.